Welcome everyone to Banana Bread Trades. This is going to be another weekly outlook video, and this one will probably be kind of short, maybe kind of long, we'll see, because as of Wednesday, pretty much any sort of plan or theory is going to be thrown out the window, because on Wednesday we have what is, in my opinion, one of the most important inflationary releases of the year, right? Maybe not the most important, but it's going to be one of the top 3 most important releases we get this year. And what is it? It is going to be our CPI release. Not only is this one important though, oops, I didn't mean to click that. What makes this one so important is the fact that this release kind of determines whether or not we pause rates in the next FOMC meeting, which in the meeting that we just had last week, they really have been alluding to, and they have been alluding to this since December. But I mean, there was a lot of questions asked about it in the previous meeting here. And I mean, they really didn't hold back in saying that, yes, this was really a thought for this meeting, but they weren't quite confident yet. However, if this CPI actually proves to kind of show that inflation is coming down, then we can really expect to see those rates get paused in the next meeting. What would that mean? That would mean, in my opinion, and this isn't financial advice, but this is my opinion, that we would kind of end this weird kangaroo market that we've been in all year long and start to maybe have the nice, slow, bull trend that we were hoping for this summer. And like I said, if you watched my December CPI breakdown video, I broke down why I thought all of this stuff. But that's really kind of what we're waiting for this week, right? Any sort of miss, meaning CPI comes in above 5.4% year over year, then you can expect probably a continued range or bearish range in the market for the next coming month until the next FOMC release. And I mean, that's no fun. That's not really what we're hoping for. I mean, trading a range is fun, but also, like I said, I'm not a big fan when we're just puking into levels, which we kind of have been doing, right? It's weird chop, and then we have a random 1.5% day in either direction, and it's an untradeable trend, right? I want a nice trending market. That's where I make most of my money because I am a very excellent trend trader. That's my bread and butter. Some people trade ranges really well. I'm okay at it, but like I said, most of my money comes in trend markets, whether it be bullish or bearish. Range markets, they can be tough to trade because it's a range until it's not a range, and you never know kind of where the edge of that range is going to be, as you can kind of see by this chart here. I mean, it's a range, but it's ugly. So back to our plan here. So I would expect Monday and Tuesday to be relatively kind of gross on NQ and ES. But I'm going to focus mostly on NQ here because I think it's going to be the most tradable, whereas ES has kind of been a little floaty in a way that in this range, it does not have solid barriers, right? The lines of support and resistance have been kind of faded in a way, whereas in Q, you can kind of take hard stops in the fact that you have a lot better idea of where this market could potentially reverse and get some points out of that. Whereas, like I said, ES has just been really fadey and grindy around these levels. There's not hard levels of support outside of maybe monthly close. Thank you, Noel. So yeah, I'll be focusing mainly on NQ. And what I'm going to be doing here is, I mean, we're at the top of this infinite range right now. So I'm going to be looking for this glowback session to break us in one direction or the other. If we range all overnight, I'm really just going to have to be patient because I do not want to long the top of this range, right? Because it is a range until proven otherwise, and I don't want to get caught longing the potential greatest short setup in the world, right? So I will wait until we actually break the range. And if we do break the range and show real strength, and when I say real strength, you'll be able to watch it on the delta and volume profile when we really break into that trend. If you watch my last volume profile video, I break down kind of how to identify a trend on volume profile. But that's really what I'll be looking for when we break above that range, if we break above it. If not, then I will just continue playing these levels as we have. I'll be really looking at our volume profile here. And this red one here, this is our volume profile for this entire range ever since the breakout in April, right? We broke up into this infinite range, and that's what that red one is. The white one is our monthly volume profile since we're only a week into the month. It is identical to the weekly volume profile here on the left. And what did these really show us? They show us that there is an extreme lack of interest below the range's point of control, right here at 13,069. Below that level, really just not a lot of interest being taken. You can see that by just how the volume completely drops off pretty hard here on the level. So if we do continue to range, I will be looking to probably take some longs at that level just by the previous week's lack of interest there. I will also be interested in probably taking longs around 13,200 just because this has been a pretty clear line of support and resistance. You can also tell this is a high volume node. I would expect there to be some trading taking place in that level. And if we break that, we break down to the POC, I'll be looking to take some longs there as well. But this is only for Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, all bets are off all the way up until the release. I will not be trading up until the release, and I will just be kind of waiting to see what happens, right? The release comes out 1 hour before market open. So luckily, we really won't have any trading to do before that release. But then the day's actions, I mean, it's all determined by what that number is. If we beat and inflation comes in below 5.4%, I will be very bullish, obviously. The only problem is we're going to be bullish into an area that we haven't been into in a very long time. And let me bring up my long time frame chart. We are going to be bullish into territory we haven't seen since April of 2022. That is over a year ago that we were at these levels. That's how bearish we've been. And as you can see, we've been kind of ranging, right? We range, break out, range, break down, range, break up, range, right? So we've been in a pretty aggressive range. If inflation beats, I would expect us to have a pretty intense uptrend. And that's also going to be signified by this gap in volume profile right here, right? There's a real lack of interest in trading kind of in this zone as a whole. So if we do break above this infinite range, CPI beats, I would expect a pretty aggressive uptrend all the way up to 1400. Now, could we get there before CPI? I don't really know. It's going to depend on what Monday brings, right? Monday is kind of a very heavy bet here on what direction we're going to go. And I'm not really going to put any money on either direction. I'm going to have to sit back for that first hour and wait. But if we do break above, like I said, I expect a pretty heavy uptrend all the way up to 1400, whether that's before CPI or not. After CPI, if we beat, like I said, I would expect that aggressive uptrend to 1400. I will be looking for that level. You have to keep an eye out for this high here around 13,720. That is our high from, what is that? August of 2022. So keep an eye out for that high as well. That's going to be a pretty clear line of resistance. I would expect some resistance there. And then we break above that, kind of a clear shot to 1400. Once we get to 1400, like I said, that really depends on how strong CPI was. I would expect probably some more range, right? Because we're not completely out of the woods yet. Because there is one more important release that comes after this release. And that's going to be the following one. Because let's say we pause rates. Well, if we pause rates and then inflation then continues up, well, then that's going to be very, very bearish, because then we're just going to have to hike up rates again. And that means that the whole plan kind of failed. And that's not what we're looking for. So if we can get inflation coming down in this release, that will be very bullish. Inflation comes down in the following release, then we are in full bull market. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Any kind of misses whatsoever is going to result in pretty heavy bearish or rangy market, which will just continue to be kind of gross trading. So yeah, that's really my plan. Just Be patient and be safe until the release on Wednesday, 1 hour before open. And then whatever that release brings, that's kind of going to kind of signify what's going to happen for the rest of the year, in my opinion. Like I said, we have the release after that, but this next release really, it sets the tone for the entire summer and for the rest of the year. So I'm excited. This range right here that we're in, I mean, there's few moments when you're trading in futures in NQ and ES history where you really get excited for a level to break, right? In this range that we're in right now, it's a relatively historic range. Not very often do you range for month over month, kind of like we have here. Not since, I mean, pre-2008 days, where we would range for an extremely extended amount of time. And even then, it was general uptrend, right? But for here, this is a pretty intense range. It's a volatile range. And when it breaks, I mean, be excited. It's kind of a historic moment in my eyes. You guys know I'm very excited about the markets. I watch these every day. They're kind of my life. But yeah, these types of level breaks, these are what I get. Even if I'm not trading, I'm very excited to watch because this is kind of my life. So yeah, everyone, I just hope you all stay safe this week. Like I said, I'm really kind of holding my cash for this Wednesday release. I will trade any setups that I get above. Like I said, if we do break above this range, I really have no short levels. I will just be buying any potential pullback opportunities. I will be making levels kind of as we go up. On a macro sense, like I said, these purple levels that I have here, these are where I'm watching for kind of price to trend to, not to trade these levels necessarily. I'm looking for the break from one level to the next. So yeah, like I said, in between those two levels, I have really no short setups outside of maybe an initial balance play or something. But if we go up, we consolidate, we make a pretty clear high volume node on volume profile, I will mark that out and then use that as a potential re-long spot when we break above it, once we get above this infinite range. Yeah, so Monday is going to be patient. I hope you all are patient too, and I hope you found some use out of this video. Sorry I went a little long, but this week is kind of important. I know I did promise it would be short, but yeah, when you start to get to thinking about what this CPI release really entails, it's pretty important. I'm very excited. I hope you guys are excited too. Have a fantastic week. Be safe, be patient, and let's get some bread.